for coming. Thank you for being part of this webinar. We are introducing today a new webinar series called Who's Afraid of Digital Transformation? That's in order to for our viewers to understand better about this topic that's very broad but also quite controversial at times. So let's get started. First, I would propose that we take a minute and introduce ourselves. Jayesh, would you like to start?
Sure, Iulia. Well, thanks everyone for watching this webinar series, which is quite exciting. My name is Jayesh Kasim. I'm the co-founder of Valenta, based out of Toronto. I'm going to talk a little bit more about our business during the course of this webinar. So thanks once again for joining us.
Thank you, Jayesh. I'm Iulia. I've spent the last 17 years in banking, overseeing the transformation of the industry from classical or traditional banking to new channels, new products, and the data-driven mentality that makes banking basically the business that it is today. And I wanted to bring that experience to Valenta. Therefore, I joined as a managing partner. And thank you, Jayesh, for the opportunity. You've built really a nice business here. Okay, now that you know who we are, so let's move on. To start, I wanted to highlight a few pain points that I've observed that are the issues that preoccupy businesses today. Of course, a business can't survive if it doesn't grow. But how do we grow sustainably and, most important, profitably in this economy with less access to financing and, let's say, a shrinking overlook? I think growth should be on the entrepreneur's minds. Process, and it's another very interesting topic, because process would be what makes or breaks a business. I've seen countless ones that are delayed or stunted in their growth by inefficient processes. Profits, it's why we do business, or why entrepreneurs do business. So how do we have healthy profits and good cash flow that would fuel the business? Execution and innovation. I think those two are related in the sense that, you know, you can't have innovation without proper execution. And the ones in the down are more about how do we structure the business for growth? What strategy do we have in today's age, digital age? And how do we staff it properly? How do we market it? How do clients find us? And of course, how do we use the digital tools in order to link everything together? And that's why I have Jayesh with me, because we're going to see how Valenta is answering to all these pain points. So, Jayesh, who's Valenta? What does it do?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, Iulia, thanks very much for highlighting those pain points. From my position where I sort of oversee our global business, and those pain points that you indicated are things that are applicable pretty much across the globe, right? So quite interesting to see a very, very similar trend at this point in time, and we don't see that changing, at least for the next 3 to 5 years as well. So in terms of who we are and what we do, we have 3 core services, right? The first one being our process, the next one being technology, and then people, right? So these are the 3 core services, if you'd like to think about it, right? So where we come in is we always come in, we can start anywhere in the journey, but where we usually would look at is the process side, right? You want to try and make sure businesses have the right processes so they can use technology and automate as much as possible. And then for things that cannot be automated, that's where we provide the human piece. Now, if we go in this sequence, businesses get a fantastic result. However, we understand to address those 9 pain points, sometimes we may need to start looking at people first or technology first before we get into process. But in an ideal scenario, where there's an entire journey being planned, and there's a strategy, then it usually would start from people, technology, sorry, process, technology, and people. Now, when we think about it in terms of our process, we can look at several business functions, right? It's not just it's not just the operations, but we can look at finance functions, we can look at HR, we can look at IT and logistics, and so on. So there's several capabilities that we have when it comes into our consulting piece. When we look at digital transformation, there's a lot that we do with robotic process automation, with AI, machine learning, cognitive AI, plenty of things over there as well. And what's very important for businesses to make the right decisions is being able to have data instantly, right, in real time. And this could be getting information from several different systems, putting it together in a meaningful way so business questions can be answered instantly. And that's where we have the data and the analytics team as well. So that's really where we come in, is to try and understand what our clients, what are the businesses that we're working with, what do they want to achieve in the long term, right? And then become the strategic advisors in helping them achieve those growth objectives that they may have for themselves, using the right services at the right point in time. So just once again, just highlighting a few of the things as well over here. When you look at automation, we're looking at the cognitive AI, the RPA, the conversational AI, virtual assistants, and so on. When it comes to offshoring, there's plenty when you think about on the IT staffing piece, right? Especially after the pandemic and with the great resignation, today businesses cannot find the right people at the right cost, right? And that's a challenge. A lot of these technologies are fairly new, and there is a global shortage of finding these resources as well. And that's where a business such as ours can assist, where we're able to do certain things at a certain scale with certain differentiators as to why people may want to join and work with us, rather than businesses trying to find those resources and go through several challenges that every organization faces today. So
Right.
we'll love to partner with our clients on all these areas. Julia, did you want to say something?
No, I wanted to say yes, right. The competition for talent is quite intense, and having the right resources and the right people on board really makes them, shine.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And just talking a little bit about our history, which you'll see on the next slide. We started business in 2014 back in Australia, and we've since expanded into different parts of the world. Starting off in Australia, we then moved to the UK, then to the US, Canada, New Zealand, East Europe, West Europe, Africa, and the Caribbean as well. So we're pretty much present in all the locations except the Middle East and Asia, which will change over the next year or two as well. But along the way, in addition to setting up this global footprint, and the reason we set up this global footprint as well was to make sure that we stay close to our clients. It's very important for us to understand what's happening in our clients' businesses so we can then provide that strategic support in helping them grow. And that's the reason for having all these local offices. And we continue to do this. We will be having about 500 offices by the end of 2027. This is our current footprint. You'll see a lot of green dots all across coming up over the next 5 years as we continue to scale this up as well. And we have service delivery centers where we access talent in different parts of the world. And those are spread across India, Malaysia, the Philippines, Trinidad, and we're currently exploring Mexico as another solution as well. So we continue to look into those operational capabilities as well in different parts of the world.
To
And
bring
in
it
terms,
closer to clients.
absolutely, it's all about, onshore, nearshore, offshore. You've got to get the right mix. Today, we are in a global environment, what I mean? So it's all about accessing the right talent in the right location at the right cost, making sure you have the right team structure. It doesn't matter where they are sitting. It's just got to be aligned towards what the clients need. And it obviously needs the right project management skills. And to be honest, while project management may sound simple and easy, it's actually quite hard to find people who are really good at following it and executing it really well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Congratulations for that. And, let's grow the business further.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always work in progress, right? And
Absolutely.
yeah. And in terms of, who we serve as a business, having been doing this for about 8 years now in different parts of the world, there are very few industries we may not have touched, right? So you talk all the way from telecommunications to financial services to medical, right? We have expertise in all these areas. When you look at our team of global managing partners who are on the ground, they all come to us with diverse banking, such as Yulia on this call, who has very strong banking expertise, very similar to Yulia having this in Romania. We would have others in other parts of the world that have similar banking experience. They're able to once again design real strong solutions for that industry. That being said, we may have people with telecommunication manufacturing expertise likewise. But when we think outside of industries, when we think of the functional areas, they're very, very similar in all organizations, such as, every organization is going to have a finance function. Every organization is going to have a HR, IT, operations function. So our managing partners come to us, join us with a certain level of experience where they can work across any industry because it's always looking at functional areas. And that, again, gives them that competitive advantage because they can tap into the global pool of experts as well. And because they work across these areas, they're able to get best in class solutions for our customers as well. Sometimes thinking outside the box is important, and our managing partners have that experience and have that opportunity to do that as well. And finally, I just want to, talking about Valenta, I just want to talk about some of our differentiators as well. So we have a holistic range of services, right? So we look at everything from process to technology to people, right? Unlike some organizations that may just look at one of these areas, it's very hard to put all these together under the one umbrella. And that's really what we've achieved, in addition to having a local team that is working together with you and being your local point of contact. We have a global footprint. And again, that's a massive benefit to us as well, because we are able to work 24/7, tap into the right resources across the globe to make projects and implementations happen in a nice, seamless experience. I've said enough about our local managing partners, but we do have flexible engagements as well. So, when you look at any of our contracts, they're quite simple, right? And we make it easy where we know if the relationship's going to work, it's going to work fantastic. And if it's not, we don't want to make it hard on either side. And that's why most of our engagements only have a 30-day notice period. So we make it very easy for businesses to read our agreements and start using our services. And we're very transparent. So if you look at our websites as well, we have a lot of our pricing or price indications open on our websites, unlike most others where it gets very tricky and complex. And when you look at our invoices as well, they're very simple invoices with usually just one or two line items in your local currency. And when it comes to security and compliance, we are also certified 9001 as well as 27001. In addition to this, we do have PI insurances, cybersecurity insurances, and we're always looking at our security. Prior to the pandemic, there were a certain set of protocols across the business or the organization that could have been implemented, but today that needs to change, and that has. So we have a strong IT team that are always looking at how best we make sure that the work that we're doing is as secure as possible. So I hope that gives you all a little bit of an understanding about who we are at Valenta. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, Yulia, for the next few slides.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jayesh. This is really a comprehensive introduction into all Valenta is and does. And we will get into details on each of the three pillars that Valenta is addressing on our next webinars. So this was let's say a bird's eye view of everything Valenta is and does. Thank you, Jayesh, for making that introduction. So to come back to our webinar series title and our subject for today, which is digital transformation. Well, that's a really big concept. Everybody seems to understand more or less about what it is. Is it taking your company digital? Does it mean just a website? Does it mean just going fully digital and just having a few people to maintain it? Well, it can be both and neither. It does address, though, some very important needs that we've seen in businesses nowadays. First is to reduce the expense and the costs of operations and to increase productivity and efficiency. This can be achieved by digital tools nowadays, by streamlining processes, as Jayesh mentioned, and also to improve execution of work. So human errors are giving trouble to organizations, especially those organizations which rely heavily on data. So therefore, for us at Valenta, digital transformation is mainly represented by three big pillars. That's robotic process automation, and we will have our next webinar focusing on that. Conversational AI and cognitive AI. Well, robotic process automation, in a few words, it automates processes that a human does now. And of course, it's not a cure-all, but it's a very hip word nowadays. And conversational AI, it started with chatbots, but now actually the two are the robotic process automation and conversational AI are combined into a cognitive AI, which is the smarter option of the two, going into unstructured documents and also being able to do more complex tasks in comparison to the chatbots, the regular chatbots you may have seen on websites or elsewhere. We believe very strongly that by implementing this kind of tools in any business, especially in small and medium businesses, we can help their efficiency and reduce their costs and also reduce human error. So that's in a nutshell what we understand by digital transformation. Now I'd like to have a discussion with Jayesh, just a few minutes, to address a few of the myths that that are going around digital transformation. And I think I'll start off with the most common one, I would say. Oh, robots will come and take our jobs. Is that happening anytime soon, Jayesh?
Yeah, no, I don't think so, right? I don't see that happening. Where robots come in is robots kind of make the human's life a lot easier, right? What we see with our clients as well is, when we start working with them, people that are doing the job, they are more than happy and they're glad to transfer the job, delegate their job to the bot because they don't like doing certain things that are repetitive, that are mundane, that are hard to do. They take a lot of time, right? So what they instead like to do is work on things that are smarter, right? Where you really need the human brain. So let the bot do all the stuff that a human doesn't need to do, and then humans then take care of doing the exceptions, right? So that's really what we're seeing with pretty much with all our clients, right? So I do not see where robots will come and take our jobs, but it's going to increase human output and productivity in a very, very positive manner.
Yeah, I remember from my corporate times that the most hated aspects of the jobs were the mundane and repetitive ones. So yeah, people will be glad probably to give that out to a robot. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so RPA being a new technology, it has implementation costs and everything. Is it worth it? What
Yeah.
have you seen with your clients?
Yeah, good question, Yulia. Good. So I'm going to talk about, I just want to give two examples here, right? So one of the clients that we're working with, right? I was involved directly in the process walkthrough meetings and so on as well, right? So we identified 5 processes that were currently being done by 26 people, right?
Oh.
Now, these 5 processes are going to be transferred to a bot, right? So we're looking at 26 people. And once we go live, there is a potential for this bot to maybe do more. We don't know yet, right? We're still in those early stages. But we know that it's going to be 26 people, right? That's one piece. Now, these 26 people, think about the organization. They can redeploy these 26 people to start looking at other functional areas of the business, right? They could be looking at data to make decisions which are more important for the business. There are so many other ways in which these 26 brains can be used rather than doing what they're currently doing. And on the other hand, when we look at certain things in our business, right? So we have bots as well that work within our business, and some of these tasks would have been done by various operational teams right now. But for us, it's not necessarily, and it's not just for us, but even with some of our clients, they've also mentioned the same thing. Sometimes it's not about cost, it's about the importance of getting certain things done in a timely manner, right? So if certain things need to be done within 15 or or let's say within 15 minutes, right? What if the human is away on break? You know what I mean? What if they're having lunch, right? What if they're away, right? And so on. So there's several things that can come about, right? But when you have a bot working, that's never going to be the situation. If it needs to be done within 15, you know what, the bot may probably get it done sooner than that as well, right? Bot's never going to have sick time. It's going to work 24/7, and it's never going to make those human errors. And what happens as well is you also got to think about retraining of staff if someone leaves, right? With the bot, you don't have to do that. So sometimes it's not about when you look at the implementation costs, it's got to be, you got to cover several different aspects. It's not necessarily this job takes a person 1 hour to do or 30 minutes to do. It's not worth transitioning. It's, hey, how important is this process? You know what I mean? And then it's not just one process, but you've got to look at several business processes, right, within the organization. And that's really where we can come in. We can come in, we can help identify these processes, right? A lot of times our clients are working in the business and they don't know what they don't know. And they really appreciate the value that we can bring. Working globally, we're able to see what's happening in different places and get those best in class solutions. I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does. It does. So we need to know what we don't know, and also to take take the whole holistic view of what the robots can help with. And I like that redeployment of brains. That would help a lot. Okay, so is it just for large organizations, or what have you seen? Okay, of course, large organizations would have more processes, more data. They would employ more people into such, they may have a bigger gain. What about smaller businesses?
Sure. And again, Yulia, good question, right? And when you think about all these, traditionally these are solutions usually made available only for enterprise level organizations, right? But what we have done with our commercial model is we've made it easily accessible for small to mid-sized businesses to engage as well without heavy infrastructure costs, without massive upfront costs, right? With a nice, easy monthly managed service fee based on the requirement, right? So we're able to come and we're able to size that requirement up and make the best recommendations as well, right? So you'd be very surprised in terms of how easy and how affordable it is to get started with a bot using our services. But look, we do have clients that have as few as 10 employees in the business, right? And on the other hand, we do have clients that have over 10,000 employees as well, right? So we work across the board. RPA can be implemented in small organizations as well, right? It is possible, and you can make a very good business case for a business that has even 2 or 3 people, right? Because all you've got to look at is, hey, what are these people doing, right? Is it repetitive? It is manual. And what is the dollar value that you put to it? You know what I mean? Not only their time, but also getting the work done in a timely manner. Is it possible to, let's say a business that has like, 2 or 3 or 10 people, for them to scale up? Do they need to add more people to scale up? Or do they scale up using the same amount of team, but having bots working alongside? So, so look, I would say it's great for large organizations, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's even greater for small to mid-sized organizations.
Yeah, I agree. It's even better because with the people that you have, you can really put them up to do something much more important for scaling the business. Well, thank you, Jayesh, for your contribution. That was a lovely discussion. Hope to have you again. And thank you very much. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time.
Thanks, Iulia, and thanks, everyone. Great chatting with you all. Bye now.
Bye.